that if we don't address the problems in this country as far as like how disenfranchised some people are and how horrible some communities are that people grow up in and people find themselves stuck in with no recourse, no way out, no role models, no nothing, no financial opportunities. That's what our real problem is in this country, more than it is race. It's extreme poverty and extreme crime, and that these things don't get addressed over and over and over again. And in fact, a lot of the policies that you see coming from places like San Francisco and Portland, and they just exacerbate it. You're just seeing stores close because, like, okay, you can't just steal. You can't just have everybody just walk into Walmart and steal. I was watching a video where they were showing a Walgreens, and they had everything chained up. Chained.
Oh, yeah.
Chains.
Even minor little things.
Yeah, little things.
Like frozen food dinners.
Yeah. Yeah, they had the frozen food section chained off.
No, again, that's not liberalism was never shoplifting is progressive.
Right. Yeah.
And we weren't interested in legalizing shoplifting, or as I guess we should call it justice shopping. But, you know, in Minnesota, for example, I think it was Minneapolis, after the George Floyd murder and the riots, I think there was a movement to disband a lot of the police, and they did. I think a lot of the police were let go, or somehow the police force was a lesser force than it was. And what happened was, of course, crime went up in certain areas, and a lot of the officers who had been fired or let go or quit or for whatever reason they weren't on the force anymore, they were hired as private security. By who? The rich people who could afford to do it. So their neighborhood stayed safe. So that wasn't exactly, I thought, a victory for liberalism.
No, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Austin defunded the police and then refunded it. And refunded it by far more than they defunded it. Because they just course corrected. They went, okay, this is not working. We have to do something to fix it, which makes me very happy. Because I was really shocked that they wanted to do that. Because there's a lot of crime. And where my club is on 6th Street, that's a wild place. 6th Street gets wild. And there's a lot of crime there. And there's a good police presence there. And we have a lot of police at the club. We hire off-duty cops to work the club. And a lot of security. We want to make it as safe as possible. But the streets in the city, like, you know, from pandemic on, it's not good. You know, it's sketchy. And I'm glad they recognized it and did something.
Well,
because so many places just aren't course correcting.
Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, not just the places where, I mean, murders have been happening way out of control in Chicago among the African American community for far too long and not really reported in the way that they should be. It's amazing how black lives don't seem to matter when they're taken by black lives.
Right.
But I mean, now Chicago, my friends who live there say it's not safe anywhere.
Yeah, it's very sketchy. Very sketchy.
And that's Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago used to be great. It used to be easy. It used to be a great city. I mean, it always had problems in some areas, but I mean, even those areas. I had a conversation once with a driver who was a former cop, and what he told me is that they arrested all the key drug players, and then there was a power struggle, and things got way worse. He's like, their idea was like, go in, arrest the big kingpins, and then we'll clean up the city. It didn't work at all. The opposite had an effect. It was the opposite effect. There was way more crime. He said it just got way more violent.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the murders that happen are over nonsense. You know, somebody dissed you on social media or made fun of your sneakers or some shit. I mean, some of it is drug turf and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think some of it is just bullshit. And I don't understand why there isn't a more concerted effort to shine a spotlight on that. And where are the leaders of the community? The people who would have such cachet among those young African American men, because that's who's killing each other.
Yeah.
Young African American men, to say, cut it out. What the fuck are you doing, killing each other? If there was a concerted effort by people in the music industry, people in sports who they look up to. Wouldn't that have an effect?
I don't know. You know, at this point,
Worth
in
a
time,
try?
I don't know. Worth a try, sure. Worth something. I mean, something needs to be done. I'm not the guy to figure out what needs to be done, but something needs to be done. It should have been done a long time ago. I don't know what that answer is, but no answer is not the answer. And continuing the same policies that got you in the same problems, and just defunding the police officers and making things far worse, and then not course correcting, that's not the answer either.
Right.
It's nice to talk about politics. It's great. I would hate to be one of those fucking people. To be an actual politician and have to be responsible for all this shit. And also to come in now, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they are the easiest people to target because, of course, they have to kowtow to what the voters want, and the voters are completely contradictory. So I do have some sympathy for politicians. Because if you ask the voters what they want, they will basically say they want every sort of goodie that the government can provide on a Arizona tax base. They want a Swedish social net on an Arizona tax base, and that's just not possible.
And then the answer is always tax the rich, which is like, well, that doesn't help incompetent government.
It does
they have
not.
more money. It doesn't help them.
Well,